picture. That's okay. Starting right now.
Hello, Mr. Stidhum. We are live. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is get my schedule here. We are going to talk about the wealth equation and if it is or is not super important to creating wealth. I think this is important. So we have a couple of things here, but I think this is important because of a particular issue that I end up with. And for anybody who is watching, if you are up, we want to know who's watching and we want to know that we can see your comments. We did have an issue with Facebook comments loading in last time. And so if this starts to happen again, if we're not responding to your comments on Facebook, then just go to YouTube.
Sorry.
Yeah, because like I don't know what to. There's nothing here that we can do different about. Celeste is watching. Hello, and welcome. And where's she watching from? Let me just see here.
So we got Guy Thomas in the building. We got Andrew Bennett on LinkedIn.
Oh, that's so great. Okay, and I don't see LinkedIn comments. Any comments coming in? So
Yeah, I
that's
pulled it up on my phone just
okay.
just in case.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is something that particular topic is something that I'm passionate about because this is the reason why I closed down my business, essentially, right? This was a problem that marketing cannot solve. This is a problem that scaling your business cannot solve. This is a problem that plagues most business owners, most entrepreneurs, most people who are starting a side hustle thinking that they can change the game for themselves. Somehow they're going to secure their future by starting a business or having it just be more successful, right? The idea is that if you make more money, then you can save more money. Okay, so we'll just put that there. This really, I think, this idea of the standard wealth equation is a hope killer because people get so far down this road and then they just want to give up because they realize they're never going to get there. The idea that if something were to happen to them, if something were to happen to their business and income can no longer come in, what would they do? And that's kind of the panic that a lot of people, especially at our age, start to have. And so they are looking for the fix. They're looking for the hack. Hey, Charles. They're looking for something that can save them. So whether it be crypto or NFTs or something like that, you know what I mean?
Well, and there's so many layers. I mean, we're talking conditioning. Like I'm doing what my parents told me to do because that's what their parents told them to do. So from a wealth equation perspective or financial equation perspective, I'm just really following the same
All you
path
got
that
to
was
do
laid
is,
before me. Right.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's so many layers to that.
Well, and I think that's a good point because that's people who actually have a plan. So people who actually have a plan might have a 401k. They might have some sort of CD or bond or strategy that was handed to them, which they are, if you were to define what a plan is, those things would be in their plan because those are the things that we knew. But the hard part is when you are looking for a strategy, when you're like starting now or you're just getting started, even if you are starting, you realize like this is not going to get me to where I want to go. You have to learn a whole new industry. Now we got to talk about risk assessment. Now we got to talk about management, wealth management, financial management. And this stuff is bone dry boring.
It is not sexy.
It's definitely not sexy. If you think it's sexy, put it in the comments and let us know if we're alone here.
But I think that's also where the MLM start. because MLMs try to make it sexy. That's where the get rich quick comes into play. Like, you
Yes.
know what? You don't have to follow the traditional means of, work hard, put away 20% of your income in a vehicle that's secure, and over time, you give it the right amount of compound cycles, you will eventually get there. No, it's cryptocurrency. You give me your $5,000 today, you put it in this one vehicle, and you're a millionaire by tomorrow, right? I think that's where all of that, because again, based off our conditioning, when we see that bright shiny object, we immediately want to run to it.
Well, and I know we'll talk about this on a different stream, just in terms of what is it that you need? Like, what is the actual goal? And for a lot of people, that's a number, like a whole number. So, how much do you have saved, or what does that need to look like? Or, for instance, like real estate, what is it that it could yield me per month? And then they're looking at it from that aspect, like how am I going to cover my living expenses and how am I going to assure that I'm going to be okay? But here's the fun part. So, again, anybody watching from Facebook, one, if you're on LinkedIn, will you comment so we can see if your comment comes in? Because we need to verify that this is actually working. And we were having a really hard time seeing any comments from Facebook. I have it set to all, so I'm going to contact them later. Is the volume okay? Like, give us some feedback since we're kind of new at this and we just want to make sure that we're not just up here talking at volume one. You guys are like, what are they talking about? Some feedback would be great. If we don't respond to your comment because we can't see it, then YouTube is the place to go. We can definitely see YouTube comments, and there are more people over there on YouTube watching us. But that is absolutely where comments are coming in. We can see only right now YouTube. So if you're commenting on LinkedIn, we haven't seen anything yet. If you're watching from Facebook, we haven't seen any comments from Facebook yet. So don't take it personal. Just hop over to YouTube, look up Self Directed with Donnell, and join us over there. Okay.
So I do have so Guy Thomas did comment, love the intro. So there's some feedback. Andrew Bennett said we can hear you. I said he said we can hear you, and then Charles gave us a muscle thumbs up, and and Charles also came in via LinkedIn, just so you're aware.
Oh, sweet. Okay. You're on LinkedIn though, watching, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. But I can't see it in the comments up here. So unless we're paying attention to that, which that
Yeah, I
sucks.
am.
That's
I'm
not how it's
trying to.
supposed to work. It's not how it's supposed to work, guys. Evie Mux, that's what we're using. Shout out to them for the comments. Okay, so the point that I was trying to make though is a number. So whatever that number is, whether it be a 4% rule of 72, this sort of number that then gets depleted, whatever it is that we are sacrificing, so that will be okay. So here's the fun part. I decided, with all this hype around Chat GPT, to ask Chat GPT what we should do to see how genius this machine is, right? And see if, with what we know, if we can pair it and match it with what Chat GPT says. And I thought that this was a load of fun, but I also think that the most important part is that you don't know what you don't know. Right,
Amen.
Donnell?
That's correct.
You say that all the time. It's like your catchphrase. But the reason why this is so important is because we go over to Chat GPT, right? And we're having a ball over there like, holy cow, this is like having a second brain. But what if your second brain is leading you down a dark path? And what if your second brain was fed information that is just flat out false and ends up misleading and misinforming everybody? And so I want to play a game.
Well, and for the nerds like me, who's at Chat GPT 4? Is that a earlier
Oh,
version? Like, I
yeah.
just so I know where.
It's ChatGPT 4.
Okay,
So
okay.
we are paid users, so we have the premium situation. We're all good. Okay. I hope this loads in on the right screen. Last time it did not. Okay. Here we are. Let We got the right screen. So we're doing good so far. Hold on, let me get my game show sounds. Okay, all right. This is a lot to manage on all at once. All right,
But you got it, babe.
I got it. All right, let's go. All right, so here we go. First question. Can you see that?
Yes, although income minus expense is a little small for me, but so hopefully I'm curious as to how everyone else feels about it. But yes, I can read majority of that.
Yeah, can you
What
guys all
is
see
the
that?
wealth equation?
Okay. What can you guys hear that sound?
Yes.
It's going to set us all in the mood to play along. So play along in the comments.
So what are you guys thinking? What is the wealth equation? Is it income? Is that plus or is that minus
Income plus
expenses?
expenses. So A,
Equals
income
what?
plus expenses equal wealth.
Y
C,
equals A times 1 plus R to the X.
C, assets minus liabilities equal wealth.
And income minus expenses equals wealth. Tricky. Andrew Bennett says, I vote for C.
Okay. All right.
Assets and
Celeste says
liabilities.
C on YouTube. All right. Well, you know, I wish I
Got
could.
Rico Danielson on the line and out of he's in LinkedIn. And he says B.
He says B.
He's the
Rico
only one
knows
that
what's
said
up.
B. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Rico knows what's up. He's got the cheat code. All right, but Chat GPT said C. Now, here's what's more important than just saying, oh, Chat GPT was wrong. That's not what we're doing here. It's not to prove some point. It is to say that if you ask it questions, it's going to give you answers, but it's going to give you the answers it thinks you can understand. Here's what I did. I started challenging it. I started asking it questions like, help me understand why this is the answer. And here's what it said. It said, although the standard wealth equation does not directly incorporate the element of time. Oh, because I asked it, what about time, right? Why wouldn't it include time, which is what the true wealth equation does, include time. And don't we agree it has to include time? So it says it still plays a crucial role in financial planning. Time is a significant factor in wealth building strategies such as saving, investing, paying off debts. When you have a clear understanding of your current financial position, you can make informed decisions on how you allocate your resources, taking advantage of the power of compounding interest and long-term investment growth. The standard wealth equation helps you assess your current financial position, while the time-based formula helps you project future wealth and set long-term goals. So essentially what it was saying is like, listen, people just need to know like where they are, and so that's the limited financial like equation, wealth equation that we're. But to me, that doesn't seem like a wealth equation. That seems like a financial assessment.
Right. And in addition, yes, assets minus your liabilities will allow you to generate wealth. But if we're trying to get specific, if we're trying to, if I'm a layman and I'm trying to understand what that specifically means, that's not giving me enough detail either, right? So what assets are we talking about? What type of assets? And you also lay prey to those I'll call it charlatans out there, like a financial advisor who, because you don't know what I mean by asset, maybe asset just means what I have to offer. These mutual funds, stocks, and bonds.
Yeah, and I think asset right now because people say NFT, right?
Right, right,
Crypto, these
right.
are assets, but these are also risks. And
And
so,
we run right by the biggest asset we all have, which is more than likely our residence. We run right by it, not
yeah,
realizing that that is even an asset that you're able to leverage to actually build wealth, but you can.
and I really hope you talk about that because I've been asking, begging you to
That's why we're
talk,
doing
to
this
tell
one.
people how we got 200 months ahead on our mortgage without paying an extra dime. And can you guys just let him know that you want to know how he did that? Because who does that? Who does that? Within
We'll
like
get there, I
18 months,
promise.
by the way.
We'll get
18
there, I
months. Okay.
promise, I
Next
promise.
next question.
All right.
All right.
Which of the following is not a component of the wealth equation? And I wonder, do you reference the previous answer? So if I use B and C of the previous answer, which of the following is not a component of those?
I don't know. I think you can leverage whatever information that you want. Personally, that's what I think. Um, let's see.
See, anyone from LinkedIn? What are your thoughts? I'm actually monitoring the answers in LinkedIn. Enrico, is that how you pronounce his name? Ricoh. Rico.
Yeah, Rico.
Rico.
Yeah.
Appreciate the feedback, Rico. He says, loving the setup. This is an amazing format and host. You all are doing amazing. Appreciate the
Thank you so
feedback.
much. Well,
You
and
made
I
my wife
really
blush, by
appreciate
the
it.
way.
I'll try to find the Facebook real quick so that I can, but I don't see it. Are we live
So,
on Facebook?
so any thoughts on which of the following is not a component? You have any answers out there in the
Okay,
comments?
we got one comment from Celeste. She says
It says
D.
C. Oh no, that's old.
She
D. There
said
we go.
D.
D. Monthly bills. I think she's right.
All right. And by the way, Donnell does not know the answers to these questions.
I
It's
better know the answer to these questions. I just don't know what the questions were.
yeah, well, no, but he doesn't know the things that I set up. So every game, you guys are going to be having to play along with
Just like
Donnell.
me. That's
Isn't
right.
that fun? Okay, here's the answer. Wait, my sound. Okay, so it is monthly bills. But here's what I did not understand is how could bills not be a part of your of the wealth equation? Monthly bills sounds like more like it's a part of your financial assessment of how much you have, like your cash flow assessment.
Right. But here's the thing, you can't generate wealth without cash flow. And
Yeah,
so
exactly. Exactly.
income minus your bills or income minus your expenses is what equates that to that cash flow. And it's that cash flow that's going to help you generate that wealth. So monthly bills are a component of understanding your cash flow, but is it a component of generating wealth? Not necessarily.
But we did ask Chat GPT for an explanation. We want to know why does it keep asking, but it was right, right? But we want to better understand why it's giving these answers. And so I asked it about assets. Assets are items of value that you own, such as real estate, investments, cash, and savings. Liabilities, on the other hand, are debts or financial obligations that you need to pay. We have a different opinion about this, so stay tuned. And you need to pay, like mortgages, car loans, credit card debts. Monthly bills such as utility bills, phone bills, or groceries are considered expenses rather than liabilities. While they do impact your overall financial health, they are not factored into the wealth equation directly. Instead, they impact your ability to save and invest, which can ultimately affect your total assets and liabilities.
Right. They impact the
Everything
cash flow.
coming in and everything going out is a part of your has to be a part of your strategy.
Right.
So that's why I these next questions though, we really got into it with Chat GPT and they clap back a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, one of them does sound like a little bit like a clap back, but the other parts are like it kind of was like my bad, you're right. And that's kind of unfortunate because people don't know and they're asking Chat GPT for these, you know, for the answers to life. All knowing GPT. And we just don't know what we don't know. I mean, we didn't, right?
Right.
You have to start somewhere. Okay, so the next question, keep moving through here. Which factor plays a significant role in building wealth according to the wealth equation? Can you guys hear that game sound? Just want to make sure it's all part of the experience. Let me know.
Which factor plays a significant role in building wealth according to the wealth equation? So which one over the other? Celeste says B.
If you're asking me, I think for the majority of people who actually have wealth, I don't know what they're referring to in terms of like wealth, actual wealth. Do you guys think that they're talking about wealth or are they just kind of capping on having some extra funds? Because to me, it sounds more like they're just talking about extra funds. Cadero says bills are regular forms of operating expenses. Exactly. But if your operating expenses are too big or too large, then you don't have cash flow to invest or do anything else with. And
Right.
I think that's what you experience is like no matter how much people make, you find that the majority of people, even if they're high earners, end up with an average of $500 in cash flow per month, right?
But also, like, there are so many layers here. Like this diverse.
Diversity.
Well,
Ooh, this is
the
a new
part around
game.
the portfolio.
What's
I wonder where Chat
diversity?
GPT got that. But 9 times out of 10, they got that from a financial advisor. Because most of the time, when you're hearing someone mention to you, hey, diversify your portfolio, they're mainly talking to you about mutual funds, stocks, and bonds,
Products that they sell.
products that they sell. Why are they saying that? It's because they can't provide you one good product that you can stick with. So to spread out that risk, we want you to diversify amongst these products that we sell so that your portfolio doesn't take a full hit based off you investing in this one thing. So I just think, to your point around Chat GPT isn't wrong. It's just it's using the information that it has. So what I question is, where's the information coming from?
Okay, well, here's the answer.
Yeah, I figured it. Yeah.
And while we do agree, this is my question to ChatGPT. Okay. I said, why wouldn't risk be too big of a factor for number six if the standard wealth equation does not consider time? Right? It's saying, oh, this is what you currently have. But if your assets are in the stock market, it's not going to consider the time that in the risk of the market. And so here's what it said. Since it was like so little, I just tried to blow it up so everyone could see it. You are correct. So first and foremost, let's just put a note in that. ChatGPT said that I was right. You're correct that risk is an important factor to consider when building wealth. However, question number 6 of the quiz that I asked it to create, right, was designed to identify the significant role that building diverse investment portfolio plays in wealth creation according to the wealth equation. Bars. Okay. A diverse investment portfolio is important because it helps to manage risk by spreading investments across different asset classes and industries too. So to your point, this sounds like it's straight from
A
an
financial
advisory
advisor.
firm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
Keep going.
hold on. Keep going. While the standard wealth equation, assets minus liabilities equals wealth, does not directly incorporate the element of time, it reflects the result of financial decisions made over time. So
I'm pretty sure they got that out of the Fidelity Handbook.
time or not, like get to it. You know what I mean? These decisions, including savings, investings, and managing risk, ultimately impact an individual's net worth. Of course, risk management, I'm sorry, what class was that in school, right?
Right.
Is an essential part of long term wealth building strategy. By building a diverse investment portfolio, investors can mitigate the potential negative effects of market fluctuations and economic downturns on their overall wealth. Diversification helps to ensure that even if some investments perform poorly, others may perform well and offset losses. And so that's the thing you always talk about, right?
Right. It's the standard performance of the stock market. When you're making money with the stock market, everything is great. When you're losing money with the stock market, it's not. Well, what is the average of wins and losses? The average of wins and losses is a straight line. So if you drew a straight line through the performance of the stock market, what you would see is on average, everyone wins, everyone continues to grow, you achieve compound interest. Yeah, but if we're talking about generating wealth, wouldn't you want something better than just linear performance? Like, what about we're missing an opportunity to exponentially grow our money, like multiply times two, times three of what you can get in a traditional investment. Whereas when you're doing simple math of this minus that equals wealth, what we're talking about is linear performance, which is not that great.
Yeah, well, the other thing that they're not considering here is somebody who, for instance, is about to retire or needs to based
Oh,
on health
amen.
reasons. I mean, that's something that's obviously I understand, right? But you have to stop working and then the market crashes. You don't have time to recover. And
Well,
they
and
don't
that's
talk
that
about that.
mitigation of risk part, right? So the reason they want you to diversify is because when you're between that age of 20 to, let's say, 35, you're in these high risk investments. And then from age 35 to 45, you're in that moderate to high risk investments. But when you start hitting that 45, that downward spiral to age 50 plus, it's about moving your funds from that moderate or that high risk down to something that's very low risk, like AAA rated bonds. And
Yeah.
then so that way, again, it's that because we don't have a one vehicle that can securely produce the retirement that you deserve. Hey, we need to spread that risk out so that you don't have to recover. Or you don't end up with something over time that, again, you end up hitting retirement age and not having the retirement that you desire.
Yeah,
Pretty sad.
exactly. I just want to remind anybody who's new that we can't see comments coming in on our screen here from LinkedIn and Facebook. So we're trying to monitor them on our phone. But Just go to YouTube. It's better over there.
It's better.
Just
We're
go to
good.
YouTube. They figured it out.
We're
Okay,
good.
so here's the rest of what they say. Pretty much it just says it doesn't directly consider time or risk. It's not going to do that because it's too complicated for people to figure out. It's really not. But it's
They're
because
calling
these
us
are the,
stupid.
yeah, exactly. And what they're saying is that the level of education that you will need in order to do all of this, that you're going to need a professional because that's the information that's out there. If you need to become an expert at this, who's going to be able to achieve the American dream, right? Why isn't that just everybody's degree? Why isn't it? Okay, so anyway, let's move on. Okay, I think this is our last question. How does the wealth equation challenge the misconception that high income guarantees wealth?
How does the wealth equation challenge the misconception that high income guarantees wealth? Shows
Ready?
having more assets. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
ChatGPT said it was C. That it demonstrates that even those with high incomes can have low wealth due to high expenses or debt, which we already know that, right?
Right. Regardless of what you make, your income, expenses tend to meet your income, and therefore you end up making 100 or 500 to $1,000 in cash flow over time. So yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. But
In truth,
exactly. So go ahead and talk about it.
yeah, it emphasizes the importance of investing and saving regardless of income level. And the key there is, regardless of your income level, the key piece to actually generating wealth is investing in you. And that's the pay yourself first part. So if I only make $50,000 a year, can I put away 10% of my income, $5,000 a year, behave as though I live off 45, and take that $5,000 and put it in a secure compound interest position to be able to produce income for me? Not, hey, I make 50,000, now I need to make 70,000 in order to have enough money to be able to generate some wealth. Or I make that 70,000, I need to make sure my house is paid off and all the bills are zero before I can start contributing or building wealth. So it really starts with, regardless of where you are, regardless of what your age is, regardless of the money that you're making or you're not making, you take this as an opportunity to make those necessary adjustments to be able to get to your goal.
Yeah. And really what you're saying is like the Dave Ramsey, like get your debt, no zero debt, and then start saving and just save. Just save. Okay, here's what ChatGPT I said. Your reference to wealth does not seem sufficient for number 7, to be honest, okay? While I understand high earning can also mean high cost of lifestyle, but simply saving is not enough to create actual wealth, and low income families cannot navigate the risk of the market, okay? So, pretty much, what's up with your suggestions? That's what I'm saying,
But here's
okay?
the thing, that's the second time he's called us stupid, right?
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Saying,
we
hey,
can
you're
we
not
can do
smart
the
enough.
math.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
not
your
smart
math
enough.
ain't math in ChatGPT. Okay, so then it goes on to say, you raise a valid point about the limitations of savings and the challenges low income families face in building wealth. The purpose of question number 7 in the quiz was to emphasize the importance of financial education in making informed decisions and understanding personal finance concepts.
And that's kind of why we're here as well, though, to be honest.
Right,
It is about
exactly.
education.
Yeah,
It's kind of unlearning what you've been conditioned to believe is true, and adding the right pieces of into this puzzle so that you can actually do better.
yeah. I'm not gonna. There's
It's a
this
lot.
response was a lot, so I'm just gonna go through here and then like if you're watching the replay or whatever, you can like skip back and pause it if you want. But pretty much what it says is that at the end sentence here, financial education plays a crucial role in understanding these various components and implementing effective strategies. Here's what we know though. We know that this is overwhelming for a lot of people. We know that it seems this doesn't apply to me because that's not my family, that's not where I came from. Like I'm fine with having that seems way complicated and I'm fine with doing what it is that I'm doing now. the guy you talked to a couple weeks ago, where he was like, hey, look, my dad worked his whole life, my grandpa worked his whole life, like I've already assigned that to me, I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure my kids are okay when if something were to happen to me, but it can be better than that.
Right.
And what we've learned is like, that was kind of where I was the free bird, like, why do we need to worry about all these things? Just what's making you happy in life? And then I realized, like, oh crap, I'm just not, I'm checked out. Like, I'm just not even paying attention. Once these solutions started to form together, I went, holy cow, you can do that. And if I can do it and if I can understand it, I promise you, anybody can. Promise anybody can. And I think that's the thing. That's the reason why I wanted to get out here and start talking about it.
Well, not only that, and I think that's the reason why I wanted this kind of topic to be the first, because when you hear wealth equation, that implies math, and the last thing anybody wants to talk about is math. But the truth is, if you apply the wealth equation properly, it's very simple to understand. And hopefully, what I can share with you today is how simple the equation is and how simple it is to understand where you fit in it, and also what vehicles that you currently have today that may not actually be helping you achieve the goal that you want. So,
Yeah, and I think that's the part. It's just landing here with the game on financial education that even Chat GPT is saying, look, if you can't get yourself educated, then you're forced to the standard wealth equation, which is really just how much money do you have left? It's a budgeting formula,
right,
really.
right.
And it doesn't even address the concept of what it's considering wealth. If wealth to ChatGPT, because it's so normalized in the information that it was programmed with, wealth being whatever you have left over at the month, that is not okay. And I don't think anybody who would call somebody wealthy, right, would say, hey, look, they got $50, that's their wealth. They got $500, that's their wealth. Even if they had $100,000, is that wealth? But none of those things are sufficient or enough. And so maybe, Donnell, what we could do next is maybe you can give them an example of how this could be different
Yeah,
and
no problem.
why.
I think one of the things that was disappointing to me about this game in general, though, was around a certain word or phrase missing, and it was compound interest.
Yeah, well, they did include it one time. One
But
time.
that's my point. To me, it's about your money making money, and the money that your money makes more money. Nowhere was that implied. The What was implied was, hey, you reduce your expenses, you reduce your debt. Now you have more money to be able to get into some vehicle, and then you diversify that vehicle to hopefully make more money. But again, how do you compound? Like, how do you do what do you do on top of that? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of my point. So, to your point around an example, so I think there's a lot of them, but I think one of the most recent ones was I did have a client who called me looking for a self-directed retirement account. And I'll get into what all of this terminology that I'll be using is, but the moral of the story is she wanted to be able to access her previous employer's 403b, and she wanted to be able to use her previous employer's retirement plan to invest in something other than where it was currently invested, and that's mutual funds, stocks, and bonds.
But why was she choosing real estate? That's why it ties it in, I think.
Right. And I haven't even gotten to that point. Like, her goal was to be able to invest in real estate. Well, whenever I meet with a client, so really, regardless of what the subject matter might be, but right, she wanted to self-direct her previous employer's plan to be able to buy properties. And usually my questions start with, why is that your goal?
Right.
Like, what is the reasoning behind, hey, I'm a 403b implies, because most people who have 403bs are in the school system. So she's spent most of her career in somebody's high school, college, or whatever the case may be. But now she's going to become a real estate mogul.
Do we thank teachers for their service now that like they're super at risk
No
every
doubt.
day? Do we say thank you for your service when we meet a teacher? I think we should. Just gonna
Make it a
start
thing,
that
get a badge.
hashtag. Thank you for your service, teachers.
No doubt. But again, but the question is why? What's your goal? And what I learned from that is she realized that her current company's employers 401k or 403b or retirement plan in general was not going to get her to her goal, which was financial freedom, which is everyone's goal. And so from her perspective, she thought that real estate would be able to help her get to her goal faster. She could take her 403b, her company's retirement account, and invest it in some type of real estate venture, and that would grow her retirement faster. And I can't say she's wrong about that. But again, in peeling back the layers though,
Well,
why?
and yeah, and because these real estate groups out here are telling everybody that you're going to be rich and you're going to have a secure income by investing in real estate and having rental properties. And so, in theory, this does sound good. This does sound obtainable, especially for somebody leaving, trading their time for money. And now this seems like true passive income, right? Let's call it what it is.
And so it's funny you mentioned the word passive, because when I asked her, I said, okay, not to burst anyone's bubble, your goal is to be able to build financial freedom through real estate. Awesome. What one do you know about the industry, and two, how do you plan to build his income? And that was her words. Her goal is to be able to produce passive income. Well, a lot of people don't realize, and she was one of them, real estate is not very passive. Now, there are moguls, there are people who have been doing this for a long time and have multiple properties and have multiple, I'll call it management pieces in place. And so they are passively making a very good income from real estate. But most of us don't start out that way. That investing in real estate is quite, I'll call it an active venture,
Yeah,
to say the
exactly.
least.
Exactly.
So ultimately, it was kind of digging into some of those details as to why. And so, moral of the story, long story short, is what came out of that was what I realized, or what she realized was her goal of being able to create passive income. It didn't really matter where it came from. She just saw real estate as being that vehicle. And so, what I wanted to do is kind of share with her some other vehicles that might help her actively achieve her goal without the active participation, meaning how to achieve her goal through truly being passive. And I kind of started with kind of helping her understand where she fit in her whole wealth equation. And I think what we've learned, if nothing else, from Chat GPT is everyone has their own interpretation of what the wealth equation actually is and what you can achieve from it.
Yeah, and
Would
I
you
think
agree?
communities, culture, a lot of these things play like a factor in all of that. So I love that we can't see how many people are coming in from LinkedIn because it's not populating. I didn't like that. Okay, this is why right here, even in business, what would generate wealth, but then also what makes a successful business. That part is also subjective, right? This is just up for interpretation, but it's really not because what makes somebody feel confident? What are the markers? What's the criteria for making sure that you have enough income to last you that you won't outlive your income, your money?
Right.
What's that criteria for you when you're asking clients these questions?
So, again, I think it boils down to understanding where they currently are and what are the gaps to help them, or what are the gaps that are required to be closed in order to get them to where they want to be. And so, there are times where I would just simply pull up the wealth equation and we just step through it. And I thought that would probably be an easy thing to do with whoever we have watching today, just kind of better understand the wealth equation and what some of those variables actually mean. So for that, I think the easiest thing to do is go to the vibe board.
Yeah, I think so too. Whoop whoop. Hold on one second.
And I do need to make some adjustments, but hopefully you guys can still hear me pretty good.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Can switch over. What is the deal with this thing? My button doesn't work.
Ah, there we go. Okay, so a couple things. And I was drawing on this earlier, so hopefully, because one thing that you're going to learn about me is my handwriting is not that good.
I know I
So
love your
I
handwriting.
apologize ahead of time.
It's fine.
A lot of times people confuse the wealth equation with the investment equation. And they are two different equations. And so what I wanted to do is kind of step through what some of those differences are. During that quiz, we identified that the wealth equation is y equals a times 1 plus r to the x, right?
Yes.
Well, that's not to be confused with the traditional investment equation, which is very similar, but with one exception. And that exception is risk. So the key here is the difference between an investment equation and the wealth equation is simply how much risk is involved. If you can eliminate the risk, you can generate wealth. Does that make sense? If you can eliminate the risk, you can generate wealth. So what are those variables though? So the first thing it starts with the why. What is your goal? The why variable is what is your goal? And once you have identified the goal, the question is, how can you get there? Well, as it relates to the wealth equation, the first step in generating wealth is to pay yourself first.
Hold on 1 second. I want to just make sure they can see the stuff in green because it's hard for me to see. But
I'll
that
make that
doesn't mean
bigger.
anything because I'm visually
Not a problem.
impaired.
You can
So,
make that bigger.
okay, can you guys see it? Or you can circle it and, do the stretching of it.
Well, how about this? I'll go this route.
Okay.
The first step is to simply pay yourself first.
Okay.
Pay you.
Pay you.
And it's really about commitment. And what I wanted to make sure, was also identified is this. You can identify millionaires or wealthy people in each one of these variables. You do not have to have all of these variables working with you or working for you to be able to achieve wealth. So meaning if pay yourself first is the first item in the wealth equation, what does that ultimately mean? Well, pay yourself first is your cash is king, people. Pay yourself first means
Like Dave
you are,
Ramsey.
say it again.
Dave Ramsey.
Well, no, pay yourself first. The cash is king is, hey, I don't use credit. I pay cash for everything. I don't believe in the banks. I don't even, matter of fact, want my money in banks. I have it buried in the backyard in shoe boxes or in my closet in a Nike box.
That sounds serious.
Right. Those are the people who, the problem is, well, those are your Breaking Bad people too, right? The problem with that is, yes, you can accumulate wealth by simply living in this cash space, but you're subject to things like inflation. In addition, how much is your money making money if it's just sitting somewhere collecting dust?
Yeah.
And so, but again, the first step in creating wealth is to pay you, to pay yourself first. So before you pay a bill, before you pay your mortgage, before you pay your car note, you take a certain portion of your income and you put it away for you, for your benefit. And then the second step in that, the second variable in that equation is when should you start? And that's today. When should you start paying yourself first? When should you start taking action to be able to generate wealth? And it's right now. You don't wait till tomorrow. You don't wait till a bill is paid. You don't wait till you're debt free. But also, there's an adverse part to this. This is where your Dave Ramsey people are. These are your debt free people.
I feel like that should be a song. Debt free people.
Right? These are
Let's
the people
go.
that, you know what, before I focus on wealth, I want to make sure all my bills are paid. Before I focus on wealth, I want to make sure that my mortgage has been paid off. I want to make sure that all of my credit bills are low enough so that I have enough cash flow to be able to now focus on me. But here's the
Yeah.
problem with my debt-free people.
Hold
Go ahead.
on. Where does it come from? That's the
Oh, that's
part for
conditioning.
me. Because you can't go do this until your chores are done. We're
Right.
programming our kids the same way. So that's where a lot of this stuff comes from.
It's
Why
all
people,
conditioning.
perfect attendance is why people struggle to take time off of work to go on vacation, right? At least that like Gen X generation and boomers.
Right.
This is programming. So it's hard to understand where you have these ideas, and but the other part is not knowing where other solutions are matters too. So this wealth equation versus another one, where would they have learned it? And I think that's the part. Where would we have learned it, and where would we be if we did not, if we hadn't accessed all five of these strategies and found a way to lock them together, so now they're cogs in it, they're all wheels in a machine, right? Turning this big money printing type of machine, essentially,
But
right?
hold on. These debt-free people have evolved. These are your minimalists.
Oh, right.
These are your people who I don't need all of these things because I've been, again, it's conditioning. Because I don't need all of these things, therefore I don't need as much income. So therefore I don't need the house that I grew up in or that I lived in or that my kids grew up in. I'm now in an RV in the woods somewhere with all solar because
Right.
I don't need these things. When in truth, quality of life also fits in this wealth piece as well. No one said you had to eliminate all of those creature comforts so that you could, generate the wealth or live for the duration that you want. So minimalists fall in that category as well.
Ted said, Ted said, that's right. Pay yourself first. So you heard that, God. Tithe is going to have to wait. I choose me. He
But
said,
hold
I
on. So
choose
I've had
me.
this discussion. I've had this discussion several times around people who tithe. That actually is saying the exact same thing. If you are
Yes.
so because internally, if again, it depends on what religion I guess you belong to, but if you are a manifestation of what it is you believe in, paying you, taking care of you first, absolutely, it's the same thing. And a portion of that paying yourself first is where your tithe comes from. It's not after you've paid your bill. It's not after you've paid your mortgage. It's not after you've done all of these other things. And then what's left over goes towards tithe or taking care of you. No, it starts with you first.
Right.
And that includes tithe. That starts with you first.
Right.
Who else do you, and again, we're talking about quality of life. We're talking about financial freedom. How do you achieve financial freedom if you don't focus on you?
Well, because what church has a retirement plan for its members? Show me. Put it in the chat. Drop a link. Drop a URL to where we can all sign up, and we'll just be members. But the truth is that 10%, that is your retirement plan. And if that's all you have, it's really tough for people to make that distinction of what it is that they should do. Here's what I love about what you do, though, because it's different than putting it in a casino like the stock market, or a financial advisor who says, oh, you got to have this amount to be able to work with me. What you do is manageable for anybody at any level, whether they have large assets or they are just starting and they have a small budget.
Well,
So,
this is much less about the vehicle, right?
yeah.
It's much less about who you are, how much you make. It's really about programming and reconditioning yourself to realize that you do matter. That, like, again, in order to achieve your goal, it starts with you. Pay yourself first, starting today.
Yeah. And I want to just address what Celeste said here, because I want totally appreciate you being here, especially because of this comment right here. You're right. What you believe in and your faith, those are two separate things. But for some people, the point of us bringing it up is that for some people, that is where their funds are to do anything else. And so that's why it doesn't always stay separate. Sometimes it's this or that instead of this and that.
Well, remember, and this also speaks to the conditioning.
Yeah.
And tell
Well,
me, religious beliefs is any part of conditioning,
yeah. Well, it
right?
is. I mean, we've got programs that come from everywhere, of
Right,
course.
right.
And sometimes we don't even know where they came from. We just hand them down because they were just handed to us, right? Like Jello and meat. Who put that together?
Where does that come from?
Well,
Jello and
it's
me.
just people handing down recipes that, like, who stopped the Jello and the meat? That's what I want to know. Thank you for doing that. And while you're at it, let's stop some of these other programs that aren't serving us either, because we are fine off without Jello and meat together. Can I
All
get
right.
an amen for that? Okay,
So pay
that's what I'm
yourself
talking
first,
about.
starting today, but then this plus, where? It has to be somewhere secure. And this is absolutely nothing more than security. And if you look at the investment equation, this is more about not just security, but it's also risk. So the idea behind creating wealth is, can you eliminate the risk? And for that, those are the bank on yourself people. This is the infinite banking people. This is the whole life is the only route. This is annuities. Here's the problem with the bank on yourself people, the whole lifers, the infinite banking concept, the Nelson Nash. You name, they go by many different names. The problem with this is, yes, your money's secure, but the question that you need to ask yourself is, how is it compounding? Is your money making money? Sometimes security can impact your ability to generate that wealth. And again, I'm not saying that you cannot get rich or become wealthy through life insurance based products. I'm definitely not saying that. What I'm saying is, there's this give and this take. There's this drawback. If you focus too much on just security, you could be giving up compound interest for that security.
Yeah,
And I
but
think, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's you're not saying they can't get wealthy because there are strategies, but you know who is getting wealthy? You know who is getting wealthy? People who are out here selling these lies because they're profitable. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's all over TikTok. Just go how to be a life insurance agent. How that right there is becoming like the big time hustle. People leaving their careers to come over and do this because it's so profitable, regardless of how it's helping other people. Because we're all guaranteed that one thing, right? We're not going to say that word.
And again, that's where that MLM piece comes into play. Each one of these variables, there are different vehicles that you can put your money in that can turn bad pretty quickly. And this security piece, this life insurance piece, this cash value life insurance piece is absolutely one of those vehicles. A poorly designed life insurance product can hurt you.
Yeah.
And there's many stories about it. And I'm sure throughout this series of live streams, we will absolutely talk through some of those. But the key is structure. The key is being properly structured. A properly structured cash value life insurance product producing security can also produce you a significant amount of compound interest. And I think the easiest way to kind of highlight that would be to kind of just share with you the risk return pyramid. Can you see that okay?
Yeah. You know what though? We can let's see. There we go. That's better.
All right.
Hey,
A little bit smaller.
there I am.
See, you are part of this.
Yeah. I'll stop
So
interrupting you now, by
no,
the
no, you're
way.
good. The thing about, again, security is, if you ever, again, this may be something new for some people. This is what's called the risk return pyramid. And if you've never heard of the risk return pyramid, everything that you've invested in, every dollar you've ever placed your money is probably in one of these buckets, with the exception of one. There's one item missing on this pyramid, and I think the pyramid was created before crypto was a thing. But it's cryptocurrency, which actually should be sitting at the top of this pyramid. And here's the key piece. As you move up the pyramid, I guess I'll make this a little bit bigger. As you move up the pyramid, your risk increases. So what's down here at the bottom of the pyramid? We're talking your savings accounts, bonds, AAA rated bonds, insurance based investments, US savings bonds, FDIC insurance, CDs. The thing about most of the items down here at this bottom part of the pyramid, yes, your money is secure, but how much money do you make over time? Not just how secure is the investment, but what type of compound interest are you growing? And a quick high level example would be, again, the bank on yourself people. Most people who have a whole life policy, most people who do infinite banking, end up learning later on that the policy that their infinite banking concept is built inside of was never designed to produce income for them. So yes, they were able to eliminate debt, right? They were able to take the place of the bank and pay back themselves the interest that they were originally paying to the bank. But the piece that was missing was what happened to all of the income. And it's because most of the vehicles down here at this part of the pyramid, the compound cycles are somewhere between 14, if not 20 years. And what that compound cycle ultimately means is the amount of time it takes for your money to double just one time. So if you're 40 years old, how many 14-year cycles do you have for your money to make more money for you?
Oh, do you have that chart to show them?
I don't. Thank you.
Because that's a good one. Okay.
But
Well,
we will,
next
again,
time.
these are concepts that we will continue to go over, that I will continue to harp on, because this isn't a one and done type thing. So you will see this pyramid again, and absolutely I will bring the compound cycle visual up as well. But my point is, as you move up the pyramid, the risk increases. But what comes with risk? More income, more money is made as you move up. So as you move up to the mutual funds, the stocks, the securities, as you move up, what happens is that that wealth equation becomes more like an investment equation, because you're now subject to market performance. Again, you're making money with the market, but when the market tanks, you lose money. And then you make money with the market, and then you lose money with the market. So again, as you move up this pyramid, but then you also hit, as similar to that example of the lady who wanted a self-directed 401k so that she could invest in real estate. Why? Because if you do the Burr method properly, you can produce a significant amount of income inside this space. But again, as you move up the pyramid, the likelihood, or the security of your investment also increases as well. And then at the top, like I said, the one piece that's missing at the top of this pyramid would be crypto.
Well, I like the part when you told her I like mailbox money, and she said, "Me too." And the part that was so heartwarming for me and heartbreaking was that when you asked her what she wanted, the truth was she wanted income. She wanted to just be okay. She wanted to know that if something she wasn't able to bring in income, that she had income coming in that she had already established. And isn't that what we all want? So many people right
Absolutely.
now are starting their own business. They're going off on their own because the freedom is calling them, right? Trading their time, and this is the quality of my life, and this is what I have to look forward to forever. I don't like it. I don't want it. No, get somebody else to do it. I don't want to do it. And totally get that. 100%, 1000% get that. But if you are starting a business, you're also starting a new risk, right? If you're
Right.
starting a business, you now have to be able to strategize your way to making so much money, or this business has to have be functioning at a level that you can walk away from it, or you've just created yourself a job. And that was what she realized, was that she was not creating something that she could truly walk away from without risk, that she was not really creating income, and that she was actually going to be investing a large chunk of her savings into something that potentially could just end up to be a risk. But show them, why don't you show, are you done with the equation?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say after this, maybe because it's already like, well, we're approaching like an hour. I don't know. We can still keep going. I'm fine with that. But maybe you could show them the difference of somebody who has a traditional way of investing, and then how you help people.
Well, and I think that's kind of what we're getting to here, because as it relates to the wealth equation, if you're paying yourself first, starting today in a secure space, and then you start your money to compound. This right here is simply about your money making money. Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, and that money making its own money.
Right. I mean, and that's the key behind generating secure compound interest, is
Right.
your money making money, and without the effort of you being involved. So it's this is true mailbox money right here. This is
Loving
your money
that.
making money, and that money that your money makes more money. And then what ends up happening is you end up spending that part.
Yeah.
And so if we
Or you don't, and you put it back in the machine to make more money.
right. And again, your money making money, and that money that your money makes more money.
That's right.
The people that usually live in this space, these are your mutual funds, stocks, bonds. These are your crypto people that live in this space. They're
Or
all
did.
about,
They did.
some of them still do.
Well, it's not doing so good.
Right. But that's because of the risk. It's
Right.
the, yes, I'm reducing those compound cycles from 14 years to something more like 3.5, 2 years, maybe even 5 years. And so I'm making the money. But what comes with making more money in the risk return pyramid? As you move up that pyramid, the more money you make, the more risk you're introducing. And because you're introducing more risk, like what do you do with that? So the last piece in this puzzle is the leverage piece. And as it relates to leverage, again, pay yourself first, starting today, somewhat secure. You get your money compounding, and then you take that money that's compounding and you use other people's money, leverage, to be able to compound it faster. And that's the piece that if you once you add leverage to an equation like this, it then sets everything off. And this leverage piece is also the time portion that you asked Chat GPT, where's the component of time? This is
Right.
that component of time. This is how you add time into that equation because a lot of people think this is supposed to be sexy. Again, your crypto people and your NFT people believe that we can make money, we can make that money tomorrow, and we're millionaires for life. No, you do
Yeah,
have to give
bro.
your money time, and it's that time piece that again doesn't make this sexy. It's
Right.
not. It's not. It's not a. I can't compete with those MLMs.
Well, and how about this? There's no dopamine with a safe and secure plan. There's no dopamine rush. There's nothing to really meet the guys at the bar and talk about how your portfolio is performing because it's always winning.
Right.
There's nothing to say like, "Oh, you should have done what I said," like a sports betting. But really, that the truth is, it's all a casino. It's all a gamble, and if you like that kind of thing, that's fine. But the reason why we're here and the reason why it's worth our time to get out here and start talking about this is because there are other solutions that don't feed that culture of risk and that provide something that is a safe and secure option for you to have tax free income for life. I mean it every single word when I say that.
And to kind of button this up, what is the vehicle that will allow you to hit all of these variables at one time? Because there's not many of them.
Right. Where can this apply? All of it.
Right. And again, all of us, like if you don't have a vehicle that's hitting all of these variables, I'm confident you have vehicles today that are hitting some of them, if not a lot of them. But the goal should be to hit every single one of them. So to my cash people who have high yield savings account that's bringing them 1.2%, and from their perspective, that's efficient. It's not. It's not sufficient enough for you to be able to hit your goal. To the debt free people who, yeah, I don't have a house note, I don't have a car note, I don't have any credit card bills, but you lost 20 years of compounding in doing so. For my whole lifers, for my bank on yourselves, yes, you did a great job of recapturing the interest rates from the banks and turning that into income for yourself. But when we talk about long-term income and vehicles that can produce that long-term income so that you don't have to reduce your quality of life, is your money being placed in the right vehicle? And then for the mutual fund stocks and bonds and the crypto people who have their money compounding in all of the right vehicles or quote unquote right vehicles, the issue there is risk. You're subject to the market. You made 50% in the market this year, but you lost 25 the following year. And then that the market then recovered another 25. It took you 5 years to just get back to even. Like that's not where it's at. And then lastly, for those real estate individuals who are using leverage to be able to generate income over time, and again, following that Burr method, they have less of their money in play. They're using other people's money to allow their money to make their money. They're actually on the right track. But the key there is it is not passive. It is 100% active. And the key is to identify those vehicles where we can put all of those pieces of the puzzle together to actually be able to produce true, secure compound interest over time without the risk. And I think
Yeah.
that's, as we kind of lead into these, that's where we're headed, is to talk about what are those vehicles.
And and some of this is just things that we do. They're nothing that we can offer a solution for. It's just a strategy that we use. Terms, we're velocity banking, infinite banking. Those are things that you do that nobody else can really help you with. They're just strategies that you learn. but it's really just thinking about things in a different way. It's the same money, moving it in different ways. And sometimes it means learning to spend the same dollar multiple times. That's my favorite when you say that. And I don't think I really could fully understand what you meant by that until I saw what you did with the house. And for anybody who's new, what I'm talking about is how we got 200 months ahead on our mortgage without paying an extra dime, and we were bringing in less income. And that was in an 18-month period. We are far beyond that now, but that's pretty incredible to know that all that changed was just information.
And that all really started with velocity banking. And hence, I think that's probably the best topic to kind of step into next is understanding velocity banking and how, if you use velocity banking properly, you can put yourself in a position to be able to do some of those things you mentioned, be able to get 200 months ahead on your mortgage in a matter of 6, if not 12 months. There's many different ways of going about it, but it's that velocity piece, velocity banking for us that kind of that helped us make that transition.
Yeah. Um, because of where we are, I just want to see if anybody has any questions, they can ask them for sure. I've kind of been trying to manage since they're not all populating up in our thing.
I just
Just
saw
to
the Jello meat comment. That's hilarious.
where was it? Where was it?
LinkedIn. That was
On
Ken
your
Dunner.
LinkedIn? Why? Why was that a thing? Jello and meat. Your mom swears though that there's this thing I'm gonna like. It's got mayonnaise and Jello. Mayonnaise. I told her I would try it though, because you never know. Things could sound crazy, and then you go, you know what? Actually, this slaps. Whatever the kids say, and I can't be mad at it. Can't be mad at it. I'm willing to try it. If we would have said, hey, this sounds crazy, we wouldn't have tried it, right? Velocity banking sounds insane to some people. Well, if I might have to try the Jello and the mayonnaise. I'm just saying,
Well, just
I
so we're clear, just because you had that conversation with my mother doesn't mean I tasted it, so I have no idea what it tastes
have
like.
you though? Would you?
You can have it.
She might be watching right now.
All right, we better get out of here, sweetheart.
Okay. Well, it doesn't. I don't see any comments coming in. On the ones that I'm watching anyway. I'm trying. I can't see Facebook at all. And Celeste said she's tried velocity banking for a few months and they frowned upon it.
Well, I will dig into an example that hopefully will help because I get it. It can be complicated, but it's really not. And I'll kind of dig into some of that next week around velocity banking. I'll give a high level example as to what it actually looks like, because really it's about the tool that you use, and any tool will work, but it's really about the discipline. It does not work if you are not committed to eliminating that debt using the vehicle. And again, but we'll get into that.
All right. Well, thank you, Andrew. I see you on LinkedIn. Great show, you two. I hope to see y'all again. When you can see us next will be on Thursday. We are trying to go 3 days a week, but we're going to start with two. We're going to start with two because two is good enough for me and you. Right,
And
babe?
please tell a friend. We love your feedback. We appreciate your feedback. Again, this is a work in progress. So any of my faux pas or flubs, I apologize. I will get better. But I would appreciate any feedback you have as it relates to anything that you've seen today and any place that we can improve upon.
Yeah. Give us that feedback. Send us a message, an email. And if you want more information, you can always go to selfdirected.info and get it there. And I have more about that right here. So you ready? You good?
Let's do it.
Hold on. I got something for y'all.
Have a good night.